Welcome back to BLOCKTV. It's time now for Cryptonomics, where we get the chance to look at some of the wider implications of blockchain tech on the world. And there isn't much in the sphere that could have bigger implications than the Telegram Open Network, or TON as it's known, which has launched its testnet and nodes. Eyal Shani, blockchain researcher, had a chance to get some hands-on experience looking under the hood of the Telegram Open Network and returns with some interesting findings, but remaining questions about the project. Eyal, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so to start things off, you had a chance to look at the white paper, see some of the technical specifications of the Telegram Open Network as it's been laid out. An extensive white paper, I believe, 130 odd pages.
Yep.
What's in there? What new are they bringing to the table? What are they making that's big and new?
So the paper, I did a comparison of the paper they released back in 2017 before the first ICO and the paper they released now in the beginning of September. Mm-hmm. And there is actually, technically there's no difference. There's some wordings here and there. So assumingly they didn't touch any of the promises they did back then and just been implementing it, also that allegedly. Mm-hmm. But so what does it really bring it into now? We're having 2 years into blockchain. Ethereum has moved so much, EOS has moved so much, right. And Telegram is still back 2 years where they left the paper standing. So, but they do have a very extensive list of things they promised back then. And basically, it's everything. Mm-hmm. They said, so they have a blockchain, they have a main blockchain, and under that, it's a pyramid of small blockchain that will all be paw horses for the main thing to operate faster than other blockchains. Small blockchains will have sharding, which is something Ethereum has brought into the scene, but is now spread across all different blockchains. It's also a way to divide the work of different blockchains to smaller groups of validators, and then again make everything scale faster. But again, all these technologies has not been yet implemented to scale, and we don't know how they're going to work in reality, how the product is going to look like. They promise micropayment channels, off-chain channels. I'm seeing here file storage, similar to other projects we've seen. Network for anonymity, similar to IIP, which is the Invisible Internet Project. Mm-hmm. And basically everything that every other project there has, they promise to do. Now, it sounds like I'm criticizing it for doing that, but not at all. I'll be, if I had received 1.7 billion in the funding, I would say, okay, I can also do whatever everyone else is doing. I'll do it better. I'll get the best programmer out there. Right. The really big question, in my opinion, is that really what's missing here today in blockchain as an economy? Right,
so that's an interesting point that you raised there. Yes, they can do everything that everyone else can. They're not really innovating from the technical sense. So then what is the value of the TON network? What is the value that they're really actually bringing to the table?
That's a really good question. In my opinion, we should be asking them because for me, or for a lot of people that I've been talking to, it seems like they've received a lot of money in funding, and now they're looking for a product to launch. They promise, so we can even see they promise they will launch a wallet for the grams. So what will happen is people will use the grams, their value will appreciate, and then allegedly the investors can cash out. But does that what really the market wants? Again, we're now 2 years after they announced this, and again, all blockchain has moved forward so much, and we yet, in my opinion at least, we don't see wider adoption. Right.
And that, you mentioned there are some of the things that they promised. Now, an important element of the whole Telegram project here, the TON project, is the fact that there is this contractual deadline approaching come the end of October. October 31, they're contractually obligated to have something out there. And I believe you've got a quote there talking from references from Telegram talking about this.
So the purchase agreement, sales agreement actually leaked something a year ago. And one quote there, interesting quote, says, "To the extent permitted by applicable law, governmental authorities and technology and mobile platforms, the parent shall use its reasonable endeavors to facilitate the use tokens, the principal currency, on Telegram Messenger by building TON wallets into Telegram Messenger." This is, again, so they have now, you can read that in several ways. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but to have a TON wallet ready by in 2 months from now, that's not technically very hard. They can they can do a centralized database with some accounts and values and Merkle trees, and launch some software to the Telegram mobile app, and then let people use it, very similar to what WeChat has in China.
Right.
And they can say it's decentralized and it's not going to really be decentralized, similar to other projects we've seen. So they can do that. The real big question is what the regulator will say about it, because now we're not talking about, we're talking about really big group of people who's now starting to use tokens which are unregulated, no KYC, AML whatsoever. And again, once the regulator kicks in, and if he kind of stops it in a way, the investor might ask for the money back.
So that's an interesting legal position they put themselves in, and across so many jurisdictions as well, because obviously we're talking in Russia, we're talking in the US, we're talking in Europe, and it could all have potential implications. But moving away from that, I want to talk about like competitors here, because it seems like the market's going to open up in terms of these sort of large-scale, company-driven, blockchain, corporate sort of crypto projects. Right. Obviously, when people talk about Telegram, the obvious comparison is to Libra. Do you see that comparison?
The only thing they compare with, in my opinion, is their ambiguity about what they're saying. And the reason is, I think, the reason they're so ambiguous about their project is because the regulation is not clear.
Right.
So I've been talking recently to some regulators from Japan, and again, it's pretty safe to say it's common knowledge that if you make money from a payment platform, then you're obliged to do KYC AML to whatever user and every transfer that moves on top of your platform. Mm. So Facebook, for example, they claim it's for financial inclusion. Say, okay, we're not going to do KYC AML for everyone because it's just very hard, not feasible. And again, the law says that if you just give the people a way to facilitate the transaction and you don't hold the money on the way, and you don't make money out of it, then you don't have to do so. So the same way, if me and you would just exchange that money, I don't have to know all your financial background.
Right.
So that's good. And we've seen that the creator of EtherDelta, he was sued by the SEC for running a decentralized exchange. So again, decentralized exchange, it's something that is completely, it has no father. It just runs on everyone's computer. So why was he prosecuted? So because he was taking a fee out of the transaction. So he was making money out of it. Now, so I asked this regulator, okay, now if I wasn't taking fees out of this transaction, I'll be launching a coin and just making a lot of money from the value appreciation. And they said, okay, we didn't really think about this through. And this is basically what Telegram is trying to do. Libra is a stable coin, so it's a different, completely different proposition. What we could compare Telegram to is Keen and WeChat, and we can go into that. WeChat is, as we all know, is completely centralized, but really widely adopted in China. Even street beggars use it to get money. Keen, on the other end, they've been working on for several years now. To get their platform adoption to their Kik platform. They have a few hundred users, a million users, and they did very similar thing to what Telegram wanted to do. They integrated their Kik token into the mobile application. But yet, we haven't seen any wider adoption, and even on the contrary, the token has declined 80% since launch.
So you think, I mean, just to sort of, in summary, you would say that while there is so much excitement about Telegram, obviously the 1.7 billion raised, everyone's sort of saying this could be a game changer for the industry. Promises like this have been made before and have failed to deliver. Right,
and there's some people who say that, but on the other end, we see so many people who also looked extensively into the papers and into the code. They say that's a full scam, even because But these people, they're really some sort of maximalists, so they're looking into decentralization. And Telegram hasn't said, unlike Libra, as you mentioned, Telegram hasn't said anything about their plans to decentralize this, and it seems like it's going to be fully decentralized, the same way that Bitcoin was supposed to be. But again, it was supposed to be, and we don't see yet people use it in full scale. And also, when you try to decentralize something like this fully, we see all the problems that come into place. For example, not everyone participates in the mining process and the validation process, and it just puts the whole theoretical system into real-life risks.
Yeah, certainly it does. A lot of interesting developments to see, and not a lot of time left before we hit that October 31 deadline. Interesting to see what comes out of it. Eyal Shani, blockchain researcher, I want to thank you so much for helping to break this down for us. An interesting topic that we'll be continuing to follow closely here at blocktv.com. Stay with us for all the latest news and information. I'm Asher Westrop Evans. Thanks for watching.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.